And just like every ship that sails from San Pedro or every plane that leaves LAX, we want to be on time, right? So it's 8:45 in the morning. It's Trade, Commerce, and Tourism Committee. We'll be joined later by my colleagues, Ms. Hahn and Mr. Rosendahl. But I was asked to start the meeting in the interest of everyone's time. So that will be take item number 1 first.
Under item number 1, the mayor submits for council confirmation his reappointment of Ms. Cindy Misikowski to the Board of Harbor Commissioners for the term ending on June 30th, 2015. The City Ethics Commission staff have reviewed Ms. Misikowski's statement of economic interests, and that report has been submitted to the council.
Great.
Yeah, unfortunately didn't arrive in time to make it on the agenda, but it is in our possession.
Have you been able to review it, Mr. Clerk?
Looks fine from an administrative point of view.
Ms. Misikowski's a citizen in good standing.
I like that the background check is still pending.
All right, Cindy. Good morning.
I'd like to see
How
that.
are you? This is exciting to have you again.
Thank you.
And nominated by the mayor again, and it's so exciting. I know personally from my history of sharing time in the opportunity to serve the people of Los Angeles as a staff person and as an elected official, you contribute great to Los Angeles. You'd like to express some things for the record, and then also this will come to council, and it's scheduled to come to council
This morning.
So you give the short version and long version later.
Thank you. One, I'm very pleased to be reappointed for a full term. The past year, where I served the unexpired term of the outgoing commission member, Mr. Friedman, has been a very interesting time, I think, to go down to the port. It was part of the time when we and the whole economy of our nation was seriously being threatened by lots of things, both within and outside of our control. But we saw it most specifically at the port. We saw it with huge downturn of goods coming in, which obviously translated to loss of jobs, a wobbly economy. And obviously the good news to report is that we didn't sit back and do nothing. We still went forward with major projects, major capital projects submitted both for our own capital budget, submitted to the federal government. I like to tell people, in fact, I mentioned just earlier that the largest federal stimulus job project west of the Mississippi is going on right now at the Port of Los Angeles on Harry Bridges Boulevard. And so the economy is being, there's stimulus going on, there are jobs being created, and the best news of all is that our imports are way up, our volumes are up. Exports are also up, so I think there's a good balance going on.
What do we export?
Mostly grains
Uh-huh.
and some bulk goods of that nature.
Right.
You go down there on any day and you see some very, very big recycling of metals that are still being shipped overseas because they are processing metals and using the metals, and we no longer do that kind of manufacturing. But we are filling containers with American quality products that are going overseas.
Great. Well, listen, I will recommend approval. This will come to council this morning, and I'm sure in the interest of this agenda, we could move it along. Although we're now joined by the councilman of the 11th District, Mr. Bill Rosendahl.
Good morning.
Mr. Rosendahl, thank you very much. I am acting as the facilitator.
You're just great.
No, we're item number 1, and Cindy Misikowski, catch your breath, if you would here. So she'd be appointed to serve a full term under Mayor Villaraigosa for the Harbor Commission, and her experience has given a great benefit to the city of Los Angeles and an interest in making a change and a difference. Would you have any questions?
Oh, sure. Of course.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you again for stepping up to the plate. I realize the responsibilities you now have are even more dramatic than you had when you first came on board in your personal life. And again, our greatest sympathy for the loss of your husband. Many issues that have great concern to us. For me, selfishly speaking, there's the opportunity, potential of the harbor to have wetland credits that could conceivably be used in the city. I know you've been studying that and looking at that. Do you see any opportunities for us going forward?
Actually, I do. And although we had met earlier, and I indicated that at the time that we met, it was rather limited because what credits we had been already pretty much spent down in restoring wetlands outside of the city of LA. You may have noticed that in the last month, we have just, actually the first part of this month, we just signed a contract with a major shipping company, Hyundai Merchant Marine, which has been located as a subcontractor in Long Beach, and they have now moved over, and so that they are coming to the Port of Los Angeles, again in a subcontract relationship to another line that has a major berth and has room for them. But their long-term goal, and this is part of what we have set forth, is they want to stay here and in 10 years have a new berth and wharf of their own, which will cause us to create what's called Pier 500, which is will be a new landfill created out of dredged material. And if and when we do that and begin the EIR process and go through all of that, that will create for us significant wetland credits that we will then have to find a place to put them.
Yeah.
So I had actually called your office for a meeting because I wanted to share this information with you, that we now have that possibility. We still will have the issue. I know that in the 11th Council District there is plenty of wetlands area for restoration, but one of the more critical points there is a purchase of land, and wetlands credits can't be used to purchase land. But once there can be a way found to purchase additional lands, wetland credits, I think, will be able to flow into helping restore that.
Great. Another one is this whole terrorism security issue. Are you feeling that we're getting the right support from the federal government? I know Jane Harmon's been active in it, and others.
I think we are. It's one of those things where you never say there's enough, because you just never want to say that, and we always need more and want to learn more. Next month there actually is going to be a conference, a federal terrorism conference around ports. It's going to be held here in Los Angeles, and so I think everyone who's got interest should be there. We have our Chief of Operations, Captain John Holmes, is premier in this field and is sought by Washington and asked to come back to Washington quite frequently to discuss with them what really needs to be done. So they really see, our theme and our title is "We Are America's Port." And so I think America, and particularly federal government and Homeland Security, pays attention and wants to work with us in partnership to do all that we can, test out new systems, figure out how much further we can push regulation. And so that is literally John Holmes' full-time job.
Third is the air quality. Obviously, we are the filthiest basin in America in terms of the air, and in part, as you well know, comes from the particulate matter and the diesel and the ships coming and the trucks coming and all of that. We've made great strides on that, and I know we've sort of been a leader in the country. Are you comfortable with how we're doing right now on that whole clean truck and the ships coming in, going to what Jimmy Hahn did so well, which was that whole thing about plugging in and all?
We are doing exceptionally well. Mayor Villaraigosa, not only are we America's port, but we are the green port.
Right.
The Clean Truck Program has, in its 3 years of operation, reduced emissions from that mobile source of trucking by 80%. And that is a phenomenal number. And it is achieved sooner than we had thought in the modeling that we had done, because folks took advantage of the opportunity to buy clean trucks. And it's palpable. When you drive down the Harbor Freeway to the harbor now and you see those cranes, you see blue sky behind it. And it's folks in the community feel it, they know it, and the good thing about it is not only has it greened that area, it's allowing us to grow and grow green. So there doesn't need to be a conflict between growth and the environment. And the environmental community has signed on to it. There are major projects underway today that are complying with those standards. The next 2 tests will be the ships as they approach our basin out at sea, and we've tried to get some. We have now a slowing, a requirement that they slow down within a certain perimeter, which uses less diesel fuel, and we're trying to push that further out, but we can only control it so far. And then the next big test this next year will be the 2 railroad projects, which Railroads are another one that are a little harder to push on the environmental side. We can push them at the yards and have their equipment on the yards that service the rails be environmentally as the highest quality we can achieve. But the diesel engines themselves are controlled at a national level, and we can't impose too strict, go too much further in pushing that. But we will, through the environmental process this next year, look as far as we can in terms of pushing that.
And my last question is the steep recession we're in as a nation. It obviously impacted the port, our number of containers coming in and trucks going out and stuff. Where are we right now? How do you feel?
We are crossing our fingers because we've had 2 incredible months of growth, including in July. I think it was the highest month of July ever in the port's history. And there is a question as to whether or not our retailers stocking up early and got everything in July, and we'll see a little bit of a down. But we also had a very, very high, June and July. So we've had 2 successive months of very, very good growth numbers to the tune of 25% and higher. But so we want to see if we can sustain it. I was just mentioning to Councilmember Labange, we are also hitting higher export numbers. So that's also good for the economy. So we're all holding our breath to see if it can be sustained, but right now it's going in the right direction.
Well, I want to thank you very much. I know you were Tom's seatmate, and now I'm your successor. So we're both pretty close to the history of Cindy Miskowski. Thank you very much for stepping up to the plate and providing leadership at the port.
Thank you. And Cindy, do you remember, anybody in this room remember when the Los Angeles Times published daily ship movements? They used to do that. They would publish the ship movements in the port. So it's interesting to think that. I was just thinking of you, all your history here and your work on so many things that are positive. One question geographically, is Long Beach east or south of San Pedro?
It's east.
So is that East America's port? All right, Cindy, we got a public comment right here card from Dr. Clyde Williams. Thank you, Cindy. I run a 1-minute clock in my committee. So 1 minute.
1 minute?
1 minute.
Dr. Clyde Williams, El Sereno, Northeast LA. TRAPAC. What happened to TRAPAC and the appellant?
This is item 1.
This is item 1.
Yeah.
The commission is a party to
We're
the
addressing
MOU.
All right.
Yep.
Want to make sure you're clear.
What happened? Can we trust the commission? Because they have an MOU in place, and the EIR for the SCIG was supposed to be done quickly because it was being facilitated by the MOU. However, we're now delayed. The TRAPAC appellant passed through the commission. What happened to the commissioners? Since this is an incumbent rather than being a replacement, it seems appropriate that she should be asked as to what is the current status of the MOU signed by the board with the TRAPAC appellants and how it will affect the
Thank you.
SCI.
You could sit right there for a second.
The MOU did require that the appellants provide and in fact, the commission last year approved a $500,000 contract to an outside group of entities to help create the organization to be the successor to the TRAPAC MOU, and that is to be a nonprofit entity that will receive all the funds that the MOU set forth to be put in place. The MOU, the funds have been set aside. There's now a trust fund of some $15 million. It will grow to many, many, many more millions. We had it on our agenda with documentation about a month ago. It wasn't still satisfactory to the city attorney. We have seen the final documents in the subsequent documents just within the last few weeks, and it is on our agenda on September 14th. Information on some of the documents and the report of the commission staff last month is online. Yes.
Thank you very much for that answer, Ms. Miskowski. This is on item 1, recommend approval for Commissioner Miskowski, reappointment.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to call on public comment. I got one public comment card, Dr. Clyde Williams. No? You got one public comment. I got a card for you on this. You want public comment? I'm trying to be good to you. You got 1 minute.
Okay. Public comment. The Dr. Clyde Williams, El Sereno,
Right. I'm talking to you.
Yeah, okay. These port generates a lot of goods.
We'll see you down on the council floor.
The port generates a lot of traffic. SCIG, the project, sponsored by the Board of Harbor Commissioners, is basically going to define what the goods traffic is for the 710 South. The 710 South will then define what the goods traffic will be for the 710 North. We're quite concerned that the integration between the Port of LA, SCIG, the Alameda Corridor, 710 South, 710 North, are being piecemealed under CEQA requirements.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Okay, we're going to hold item number 2 until Ms. Hahn arrives. Item number 3, is the clerk ready to report on item number 3? I'm talking about the city clerk who's sitting here right now. Item 2, we're holding. Item 3, number 3, you're going to call it right now.
I'll do that.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you very much. I usually have the clerk do that, but you could do that. Okay.
The Board of Airport Commissioners submits for council approval the second amendment to the contract with Fentress
Jenny.
Architects, which is for architectural, engineering, planning, and design services for various projects at LAX. The proposed amendment would increase compensation authority by $33.4 million for a total contract amount of $124 and change million. The City Administrative Office has submitted a report, which is before you on your desktop.
Thank you very much. Give us a brief report, then we do have public no cards on that, so let's hear what's happening.
All right. Roger Johnson, Deputy Executive Director, Los Angeles World Airports. The contract in front of you is the second amendment to the architectural firm of Fentress and Associates, and we are asking for this for two reasons. One, we're taking advantage of the construction economy that we're in today to add a significant amount of work to the original contract that Fentress Architects had. Most notably, one of the things that we're doing is we've added what we're calling the Central Terminal Area Beautification Program, where we're looking at trying to have a program in place that will upgrade the looks of the entire north side of the Central Terminal area. We're excited about what we're doing with the new Tom Bradley Terminal. Our concern right now is when that's open, as people drive in, they're going to look at the same old airport as they're driving into the Tom Bradley Terminal. So we're asking Fentress Architects to help us develop an architectural concept to improve and beautify the entire CTA.
Very good. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rosendahl in a moment, but I just want to mention the iconic columns there are now on when they show the country from New York City to St. Louis to Chicago to San Francisco, they show those iconic columns, which are the gateway. Would you change that?
No, sir, we will not.
Very good. All right, I just wanted to make sure. Mr. Rosendahl, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And of course, we're going to celebrate the 10th anniversary of those iconic columns in September, and we're going to have a combination of two ribbon cuttings that day because there are a lot of things happening at the airport. I obviously support the contract amendment to continue the work on the Bradley West and the Central Terminal improvements. But do we have a CAO's recommendation yet?
Andrea Mills, yes, CAO office, we recommend approval of the
You do
proposal.
recommend approval?
Yes.
Okay, and could I ask you for an update? Obviously, I'm thrilled to death we're making progress, and modernization of the airport and security at the airport are my dual number one issues. Ms. Hahn is walking in, so I'm going to turn over in a second to her. But I'd like to also ask on a separate item, would you please report back on the Certified Service Contractor Standards Program? I know the SEIU have been asking that question and others. Do you have anything to say about the Certified Service Contractor Standard Program?
Mr. Rosendahl, I don't. That program's not being handled by me, so we'd have to get back to you.
Could you get back to us on that
Sure,
and
we
give
can.
us an update before Ms. Hahn's committee when we come back after recess?
Yes, sir.
And give us a status report? And would you also at that point notify the SEIU that you're doing that so they can come here and they can interact as well?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Is there any update you want to say about Bradley West or the Central Terminal and how it's going? What's the timetable? Are we going to get it done by 12/12/12?
We are still pushing for 12/12/12. I can tell you that every day is a new challenge. It's an aggressive schedule. We're out there every day making sure that we stay on schedule. So right now we are still hoping, and I'll emphasize hoping, to be done on 12/12/2012. So,
Great. Well,
yeah.
thank you. And Madam Chair, we were just doing item 3.
Very good.
Update, and I'm turning it over to you.
Very good.
Four's right there too, in the airport too. If you're in the same neighborhood, they're right here. Want to approve this?
Let's see. Okay, and I, like I said, I just walked in. I had
Well, let me
car,
officially
I had
put it
car
up.
trouble this
That's
morning.
unfortunately, but
No.
you're here, which is so good.
That president again.
Oh, no, Mr.
No,
Roosevelt.
no. This was a flat tire. Flat
We
tire
did
before
do,
coffee, which
we
is
did do
really-
item 1. We did
Yes.
do public comment. We did item 2 right now. If you feel comfortable, we could vote on that. And then we have we did item 3. Right now it's before us. Item 4 is another airport issue we may want to take right now. And then we get back to item 2, which we want to support LA Inc. in their efforts to do great things for Los Angeles. So that's where we
If he
are.
has an issue, I'd move that we go forward.
You know, I don't know if you talked about, one of the things I was going to ask was, there's always, it seems like a moving target on the large aircraft. Are they coming? Are they on schedule? And are gates on schedule to accommodate them? Are they, how many will be arriving next year and the year after?
We right now we have 2 Airbus 380s on the ground. Both of them are Qantas, and Qantas will be adding the next Airbus 380 in September of 2012. So we will not see any new scheduled service with Airbus 380s until 2012 now. So the 380
Okay.
schedule has significantly reduced. We have made a commitment to Qantas. Our schedule is to be done with all of the new construction on the Tom Bradley West Terminal by December of 2012. We have made a commitment to Qantas to have the northernmost gate up and available for their use on September of 2012. So there will
That
be,
meets their schedule.
that will meet their schedule.
Right.
That's correct.
And I mean, part of why we did all this was to remain competitive as an airport, to be able to, receive that next generation of aircraft. And we're always competing against other airports. What's the status of, I don't know if you know this or not, the gates for the larger aircraft at other airports? Like San Francisco, Phoenix.
Well, San Francisco got a little bit out ahead of us when they built their new international terminal. So one of the things we are trying to do is catch up a little bit with San Francisco. So we will, once the new Tom Bradley terminal is done, we'll have bypassed San Francisco on our ability to accommodate the new large aircraft. So I'm not sure, Mike, I don't know if you are where Phoenix Sky Harbor is right now on theirs.
Actually, Phoenix Sky Harbor is not planning on accommodating that aircraft
Okay.
at this point.
All right.
They do have a couple of gates that could, but their airfield really isn't configured to do so.
Okay. All right. So we're good.
What, Denver?
Pardon?
Denver.
Denver airfield can accommodate it. Right now,
The
they don't.
airfield can, right.
Right now, they do not have any passenger facilities. They're looking to do so, but even from Airbus's perspective, internal perspective, they don't see that as a market as great as Los Angeles.
Very well.
Of course, one thing we got going for us is weather.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's one thing we got going for us in LA, whether it's at the harbor or at our airport. There's more diversion of traffic, cargo and air passenger, due to weather than any other variable, and we usually don't have that. There's a lot of planes get diverted from San Francisco because of their bad weather.
Yes.
So
And what we're trying to do is
there, San Francisco.
have an
Take that.
international facility that when people come there, they decide this is really a nice place to come. So,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, okay, good. Well, very good. We are, did you move to, what are we doing with this? We're approving this.
Move approval.
Okay, With no objection?
No objection.
We'll move that. And let's go back to, are we, 2, let's go back to 2. Oh,
Four's right here. 'cause
Four's right here?
Right here. I think
Okay,
it's
you stay here for, are you guys here on 4?
Four?
No, we have Debbie Bowers is here.
Different folks. So let's go back, let's go back to 2.
Under item 2, we have consideration of motion Han Koretz proposing that the city clerk, Office of Finance, and city attorney report immediately to this committee concerning the status of the proposed tourism marketing district, which was previously proposed by your budget motion, Han Rosendahl, and adopted by the council in May, and concerning a report on the status of that district and the actions necessary to implement the program. LA Inc. and others are here to report on the status of the proposal.
Great. So, colleagues, this is the idea that we could incorporate a tourism and marketing district similar to sort of a property BID that will help us generate close to, what, $10 to $11 million annually that will go towards marketing Los Angeles. So I understand you have a LA Inc., you have a presentation you want to give us
Mark
briefly?
Lieberman, President of LA Inc., the Los
Okay.
Angeles Convention and Business Bureau, and very briefly, as you mentioned, I know that you are acquainted with what we're trying to accomplish, and that, of course, is to create a tourism and marketing district. And we want to thank you, Councilmember Hahn, for the motion that asked the city to facilitate the implementation of this as quickly as possible. This is really about adding resources, dollars, so that we can promote Los Angeles, market Los Angeles, sell Los Angeles, and be competitive also. Right now, we are really not competitive with other major cities, and especially those cities that we compete with on a regular basis. Today, 52 cities in California have tourism marketing districts. When we started this process back in April of 2009, 44 cities had tourism marketing districts.
Now 52.
Now 52 cities have it. And we should mention that both two of our major competitors in California, both San Diego and San Francisco, have tourism marketing districts. And I would think that many of you are acquainted with the promotion that San Diego has run through the summer. And we thought we would just show you what their dollars are, what they're using their dollars on a 30-second commercial. So if we can just run that, I think they've spent about $6 million this summer.
Yeah, we don't want to get excited about this.
Got good music. See?
That's cute. I know, huh?
Hey, Mark, on that San Diego, do they market
They market all throughout the country.
throughout the country? How much of the effort?
Okay,
do
let's
they-
let them do their presentation, and we'll have questions later.
Fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now get that commercial off.
This is Patty McJanick, the senior.
Oh, there's Miriam.
Not with our IT department. This is a problem.
Miriam. Okay.
Okay, let's go on it. You know,
San Diego, by the way, spends $26 million
Right.
annually
20
to our $11 million.
if you can see from the chart that we are being outspent, and the tourism marketing district, of course, will allow us to be both competitive. It's going to increase our sales ability, and the bottom line, of course, is to bring more visitors here, stay in hotels, create more jobs. And as the number one industry, this is where we believe that job creation, as we increase the number of visitors, today Los Angeles gets about 25 million visitors. About half of those visitors stay in hotels. 75% of our visitors that come from overseas stay in hotels. So we want to promote all of Los Angeles. This is not focused on downtown. It's not focused on promoting conventions. It's both in the domestic marketplace and also in the international marketplace.
Right.
This is a hotel-driven initiative. We have met with over 110 hotels, their leadership throughout the city. There are 470 hotels in the city of Los Angeles. The hotels, through a steering committee of 20 hotels that were representative of all of the regions of Los Angeles, met and decided that they would only have this assessment on hotels that have 50 rooms or more, which are 192 hotels. And this is an assessment. This is an assessment on the guest. Unlike a bid, this is an assessment on a guest, and there's really no burden at all on the hotel. Additionally, we have met and have the support of the bids at the airport, the Chamber in San Pedro, and the Chamber in Hollywood, and the San Fernando Visitors Bureau. So the process, as I mentioned, started in April of 2009, and today we are again finished with what the hotels needed to work on, making all of those decisions on the assessment itself being 1.5 points, 1.5%, which puts us very competitive with other cities. That's very, very important, what the hotels were most concerned about. Even though this was an assessment on the guests, they were most concerned that we would be competitive with San Diego, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, etc. And they feel that we are. And so I thought that John Lambeth, who is our consultant and attorney, I just wanted to ask him to make a couple quick comments on the process of where we are today.
Very quick.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. I'll keep my comments very brief. John Lambeth, attorney with Civitas. We specialize in forming these kinds of districts. We've gone a long ways through the process, and the city clerk's office and city attorney's office has been very helpful. We're up to the point of getting that plan, the management district plan, completed and signed off by the city so we can get into the petition drive. Once we get into the petition drive, we'll be back in front of you for a
Now, what is the petition drive?
hearing process.
A petition drive is a vote by the hotels.
The hotels. The statute requires that owners paying over 50% of the proposed assessment sign petitions before the council takes.
So is it all these, it is the 192?
Hotels.
Okay.
Right. And the vote is
And when will that take place, the vote?
As soon as we get the green light from city staff on the documents.
Okay.
So as soon as we get the okay on the management district plan and the petition, which they have now and have been reviewing and working with us back and forth, and Holly and Rosemary from the clerk's office have been very, very helpful to us. And we're just trying to get through that in the city attorney's office to get to the petition drive.
Okay. Okay, a couple questions, and I know you all might have a couple questions. And, you know, I am always hesitant to, as you sort of described, kind of putting an extra burden on the hotels or making them not competitive. But this idea came from the hotels. It's kind of their idea. They feel like we're not marketing Los Angeles enough. And this is a small assessment. At the end of the day, the hotel... Would you like to take this conversation outside?
If you're late for class, you can't complain. All right,
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I just, you want to take it outside. If you're not chair of the committee, you also can't complain. But so this is like a very small addition to a hotel guest bill at the end of the day. They don't feel like it will make them, less competitive than other hotels. Okay, it was in one of the questions that comes to me, which I understand you got San Pedro's Chamber's endorsement of this. But what I hear when I'm down there is a concern, and I'm sure that will be a concern for outlying parts of our city. Okay, this sounds great. We're going to raise this money. We're going to market Los Angeles. But how do we market Los Angeles? Are we just going to market downtown? And how does San Pedro benefit from this? How does the Valley benefit from this? Is there a plan yet? A marketing plan that we really can sign on to, because downtown LA is great. We've got LA Live. Things are starting to pick up down here. It sort of has all of the the variables that make this now a very attractive place to come. But there's a feeling there's other places in Los Angeles that are also very attractive. You got Beach at Venice. You got what's going on in San Pedro, the Valley. How can we sell this to other constituents that this is a good idea for the entire city, and it won't be just one more thing to market downtown Los
I
Angeles.
think, as we formed the steering committee of 20 hotels, that was probably one of the first questions that was asked. How do we make sure that as we go forward with $10 to $12 million, that the $10 to $12 million is not spent on marketing and selling downtown? What we're trying to do is we're trying to sell Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a brand, and we have to make sure that people throughout the world are, again, acquainted with all the changes that are taking place in Los Angeles, everything that Los Angeles has here for them, whether it be at the beach, whether it be at Venice, whether it be the access from the airport to the beaches, etc. But overall, the hotels felt that the number one goal here is not necessarily to promote one particular area, but to promote all of Los Angeles. Because as we promote all of Los Angeles, everyone will benefit. And it's the same thing that when we sat down with the hotels, and if you think about it, the highest concentration of hotel rooms are at the airport. And the hotels at the airport bought into this because they felt that as we market Los Angeles, they will benefit incrementally. And even today, if I just could spend a couple seconds on it, even today, as we sell conventions downtown, and as we sell larger conventions, whether it be the Microsoft convention, which will bring 50,000 room nights, or the American Heart Association, which will come here in 2012, that will bring 48,000 room nights, and that's 8,000 room nights on peak. And what that means is that downtown can only accommodate about 4,500 to 5,000 rooms on peak. So if you ask, as an example, the hotels at the airport, are they benefiting from some of the sales that are taking place? Yes, we have groups from Microsoft that are staying there at the airport for larger conventions. But it goes much further than that, because even the smaller hotels will benefit, because compression will take place, because there are no rooms downtown, there are no rooms possibly at the airport. So where do people stay? They have to find a place to stay.
So the mid-level ones, the Clarions, the Motel 6,
Right.
the Holiday Inns, they're going to benefit.
I think that everyone is going to benefit. And we have to remember that when we talk about a 1.5% assessment, a 1.5% assessment,
Right.
a 1.5% assessment on a $100 room is $1.50. And it goes down from there from the smaller hotels. So we're not talking about large sums of money being assessed guests, number one. And number two, it puts us in a much better competitive position to promote Los Angeles.
Right, I mean, in one sense, the trickle-down theory, which you just sort of described, is good, but I don't think that's good enough for the outlying areas like the Valley and San Pedro. They're going to want to know, how are you marketing those parts of Los
the
Angeles?
other thing that we don't do today, that we will do, as you know, we sell, besides conventions, we sell self-contained meetings. These are meetings that take place in a singular hotel, and today we have no sales teams that are specific for the various regions. This will allow us to have people that are accountable in our office.
But again, if you're going to do a commercial like we just saw, is
no way-
that going to be? Is there going to be a fun
Right.
commercial with good music that
I think
that shows everything from Venice Beach
Well,
to
yes,
the
there
Korean Bell?
Yeah,
I think that's what I'm asking.
I think, yes, there will
You're
be.
not giving me what I'm asking.
No, I think that I'm trying, we will showcase Los Angeles as the consumer and the visitor needs to see Los Angeles.
Okay.
And that's very important.
Okay.
And there's no way, with everything that Los Angeles has to offer, everything, that you can incorporate
Right.
everything in a commercial
Watts
for
Towers,
30
I mean.
seconds. It's just impossible. But what we will do, we will work with all of the regions to make sure that we are showcasing the things that are important
And
to
how are you
those
going to do that?
regions.
Work with all the regions?
Because,
you're going to work with chambers, or you're going to work with?
Well, because
what are you going? How are you going to do
the
this?
hotels will have the majority of representation in the decision-making process
Right.
for the tourism marketing district.
Right.
Today, the LA Inc. board has 8 board members that are general managers, and the tourism marketing district will be creating a new corporation that will have 24 board members. Out of the 24 board members,
And
on the
they'll all
board-
be representing these hotels.
Right. On the 24 board members, 16 of them will be hotels. They will be, of course, supplemented with, I think, some expertise that we have in this community, marketing expertise, whether it be someone from Universal or someone from LA Live, someone from big brands that have that marketing expertise to work along with the hotels.
Let me just ask the city staff, how are we doing on processing these documents, and how soon do we think that this vote can be taken? And when do we start collecting these funds? When does this start happening?
Holly Walcott, Office of the City Clerk. One of the things I should probably mention from the onset is Miranda Pastor of my staff, who's the acting chief of administrative services, has really been the driving force behind this. So she's going to have a lot of the answers that I don't have, and she's back from vacation tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm going to do.
Where's she staying?
I don't know.
Where did she vacation?
Hopefully not San Diego. No, not San Diego.
No.
She went to Florida.
Wow, okay.
She went to the Gulf with the presidents.
I do know that we've been working with LA Inc. and Mr. Lambeth and Ms. Parker, who's also in the room, there have been various concerns over, and Miranda's been really the point person in pushing things through the city relative to, number one, which ordinance and which law that we were going to use to establish the
originally we had heard the vote was going to be taking place in August.
Right,
That's clearly not going to happen.
There's been a lot of it's been a long road to get here. And again, the first issue was which law we were going to use. Then the assessment methodology has been a hurdle because there was some concern on behalf of the city attorney's office regarding the transit occupancy tax, which I would need them to explain more in detail. I don't think they're here today. I do know, as LA Inc. have said, they have turned in their third draft. My staff has reviewed it. I have not looked at it. We are still looking, my understanding is to a January 1 start date.
For the assessment.
For the district itself.
Okay, so the vote would take place
sometime in the next.
Okay.
I'm hoping the next month or so.
So the funds would start to be collected in January?
Well, I'm not sure how the.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
if we can get to a petition drive next month, that's certainly doable to start the process, to start the
good.
collections in January.
All right, so we will be able to have a marketing.
I should
program
mention to you that we are, as an organization, not sitting still and waiting for the vote to take place. As an example, yesterday, our marketing committee, which is led by Larry Kurzweil, who's the president of Universal Studios Hollywood, met with 8 of our people that are on our marketing committee to start putting together our plans that we have for marketing and promoting as we get these dollars. Because we just don't want to find the dollars coming in and then say, oh, what are we going to do with them?
Okay, questions?
Yes, I know there's 8 cards that some of them say they're opposed, but we'll hear from the community groups. First of all, it's a no-brainer for me. We put this motion in a year ago, then it was updated again in the most recent moment. In the last year, you've spent a lot of time organizing this. We appreciate that. A couple of 3 things. Number one, as we all know, Los Angeles World Airport is the 6th busiest airport in the planet, and it is the #1 destination airport on the planet, #1, and that is because of our diversity. We are the most diverse megalopolis on the planet, and we have large numbers from everywhere. We will always be a major place because of the family connection of the planet. And so when we do our spots, and we should do a series of them, it should have the colors of the rainbow that we represent. And it should be that connection that everybody can see. I even am a little resentful, not a big deal to get a headline in a paper, but all I see is Antonio Villaraigosa's picture at the airport now, which we didn't have before. Many of us have talked about the 15 council members as the mix, that is the reflection. So wherever you put the mix up that people can see themselves in it is the mix that we should even have at the airport in terms of people getting off the planes. And I love our mayor. It could be any mayor, it could be this one or that one. The mayor's obviously the prominent player, but we're all the diversity that makes LA what it is. So when you do all your marketing, everything that you do with diversity will hit home because the home of the earth is Southern California, #1. Number 2, When we met, and I appreciated our conversation, I had just then met with the convention center big shot, and the clear thing is a conference center that would incubate potential conventions downtown, but that would allow the gateway, which are those airports, hotels, to have a destination stop. And now that the community colleges passed their measure and the monies are there, I look forward to a more aggressive strategy in making the gateway a destination point, not just downtown LA Live. I agree with Ms. Hahn, there's so much to see in the diversity, but there are people coming through for meetings and conferences. So I want to get a better sense of a timetable of how we end up with a conference center at the gateway area there as a go-to destination. And I know we're moving very well with it, but this is exciting, positive, and I look forward to us getting this going.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much. Compaction is a key word that you spoke of, which will happen. How many cities in the region benefit just from Los Angeles being Los Angeles? Tremendous. But, I mean, that's technical. Will Shutters in Santa Monica or any of the Pasadena hotels that are big be part of this at all?
No, they won't, and of course there's always that question about they will benefit from it. There's no doubt about it. I mean, because as you know, the visitor doesn't know boundaries. And we do
Doesn't
have
care about boundaries, yeah.
And also,
we benefit from them.
we benefit from them.
from Shutter.
I mean, if you think about,
I would just ask one
if you
thing.
think about the iconic brands that we benefit from that are outside of the city, there are many.
Beverly Hills.
Starting with Beverly Hills
Right.
and some of the beaches. et
Just a
cetera.
question, though, in the portrayal there, because you're going to show everything there. If there's a process with this bid, or whatever you call it, that you could have a special cousin, and you could say to Shutters or everybody, if they wanted to throw in, you know, they have a 2-second flash of whatever you got. If Beverly Hills wanted to throw in, if Pasadena wanted to throw in,
Pay for it.
yeah, they got to pay for it, but just to ask that. Okay,
It's
thank you.
voluntary. We can't.
Right.
Under the state law,
I know.
we can't, yeah.
But
can assess
they could voluntarily do it, but just make it voluntarily acceptable. Sometimes you can't volunteer to
They're
volunteer.
going to want to see if it's good.
Thank you. I think LA Inc. is doing a great job in pushing this forward. I support it.
Okay, thank you very much. We have some public comments at this point, and we're going to set the minute clock because it's 9:30 and we have a lot of cards on this. Okay, first three people, Jerry Wang, is it Patel, Min? How do I, Yes, okay. And Mina Pate? Mina? What's your last name? Oh, this says P-A-T-E. Oh, okay. Those three, come on up. And then we'll call three more. Oh, actually, we have 4 microphones. And Dr. Clyde Williams.
Get another chair, Lisa, please. We'll
Okay.
get you one, Dr. Williams.
Okay, go ahead. 1 minute.
What's your PhD in?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Whoever.
Dr. Williams.
Let's go.
Okay, Dr. Williams. Okay, El Sereno. 20 years ago, I started in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Why? Because it was an exciting time. It's changed a little bit recently,
Dr. Clyde
but
is in Dubai.
it's an issue of integration. As you pointed out, Santa Monica will benefit. How about Long Beach? How about San Pedro? One of the issues, this committee has responsibility for trade. As pointed out, LAX and the port are 2 of the biggest in the world. To not include them in direct participation with the tourism needs to be reviewed. Also, who has the biggest money bags? DWP, yeah, but how about ports? How about airports? So there needs to be an integration of these into the same thing because they already have established international marketing. And to market tourism through them would be reasonable.
Thank you very much.
1 minute.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jerry Wang. I'm president for Taiwan Hotel Motel Association of Southern California for 2008 and 2009. We have over 300 members in the hotel motel business. I think the LA Inc. have a very good idea, but the funding shouldn't from our property. 1.5% maybe not too much, but after 14%, that's a lot of money. And also, for example, like City of Commerce, they don't have bad tax. will push people, customer tourism to some other city. Okay, I think the funding should come from Los Angeles City. Because, for example, City of Los Angeles bought a piece of land, parking lot in airport for a few $100 million. Just a little portion of that will help Los Angeles City. And there may be some other idea, for example, like Ontario Airport, also LA World Airport. They have a double size of land and, easy to expansion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Mina Daya, representing Nila Ahoa. And I have a 50, I'm talking about hotels that provide free breakfast and pay the TOT with the economy downtown. They cannot afford that extra taxation. We already pay 14%. The other thing is the allocate, where is the 14% going? Is there any advertising money going from that? Do we have to increase that 1.5? The other thing is convention hotels, full service hotel, not limited hotels, would benefit more. And is the GMs on the board who are representing? Are they representing full service hotels or limited service hotels? So we do want to make sure that the little guys are represented well also, that can we afford that? And should we have extra taxation? I don't think so in this economy, especially the limited service hotels. Also, I had a couple of more points, but the minute's going. But basically, think about the money we're already paying. Think about 100 room maybe and higher, not the little guys. That's
Right.
another important point. And bridging.
Right. Have you been involved in this process at all?
I have been from the background, but
Okay.
branching the other cities
Okay.
is more beneficial than just
Okay. Well, we encourage you to hopefully the LA Inc. can work with you to come up with at least a way to get more representation from the smaller and mid-sized hotels. Thank you.
Good morning. Manoj Patel, past president of San Gabriel Valley Hospitality Association. My family also owns properties in Los Angeles as well as, in fact, Pasadena area. Taxation, I love that word because it's always presented as a burden of shift on the guest. It's not. Because end of the day, it comes to us. We're limited service operators. What that means is when that guest gets into our room, now with this weak economy, try to charge $1 for that safe that's in the room. The guest says, take that off. We take it off. It's really hard. Yes, on $100, it's $1.50, but to that small business owner, that's a lot of money. Second, they talked about promoting Los Angeles. Downtown LA property, they can charge parking fees, breakfast, telephone, high-speed internet, and on. They have other revenue centers. We don't. We have to give out breakfast. We give free telephone calls. We give free wireless, high-speed, free parking. We don't have that luxury. And third of all, hospitality industry is very different from other industries. We have a great opportunity cost because what rooms I didn't sell yesterday, I'll never make that up. So please keep that in mind. I'd hate to see that guest leave LA and go to Pasadena, which, by the way, I would actually like.
How many rooms do you have in the city of Los Angeles?
In city of Los Angeles, my uncle has a 65-unit property.
65 unit property. How many?
I have an 82 in Hollywood.
Where is it?
Best Western Hollywood Plaza Inn.
I have 24 rooms and 30 rooms.
Right. So if it's under 50, you don't pay the tax.
Right.
I have a lot of members. They have over 50 rooms.
Okay, but you represent. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. All right. The next speakers: Kathy Falk, Kathleen Cook, Hitu Patel, and Ray Patel. Go ahead.
Allow them to finish.
I can start.
Okay.
My name is Ray Patel. I'm president of Northeast Los Angeles Hotel Owners Association. As you council members are familiar, our association addresses concerns of our members that are out there throughout all 15 council districts. We represent mainly the economy sector hotels and the mid-market hotels, which is our greatest concern. I've been to a few LA Inc. presentations. They're fabulous, great videos, and I commend them for trying to do something to market LA. Our concern is twofold. One is we're already paying a 14% TOT, transient occupancy tax, to the city of LA. Nobody's explained to us, and we would like this committee to look into where's that money going to.
Right.
Because although it is labeled as 1.5% assessment, it's still a tax. So we're looking at a 15.5% tax every time a guest checks into one of our establishments. I understand, a survey will go out or a petition to get a vote from the Regent Hotel. You do understand that the vote is weighted based on the assessment of each individual hotel. So a 50-unit hotel's vote, a no vote, will not stand up against the Ritz-Carlton's yes. So they've done their lobbying at LAX and downtown LA. I didn't see them talk about what structure has been set up for representation for the mid-market hotels. And they haven't mentioned anything. We haven't seen anything in writing. And what our concern is, that board that's going to be created will not be representative of the mid-market hotels because they continuously say the weighted properties.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Hitu Patel. I'm from Long Beach. I have a couple of hotels over there too. I sit on the board of the Long Beach CVB. We enacted this Long Beach tourism marketing district, and while it's quite successful, it was very nice. But we had limited the range of our tax. We limited to the downtown area that was close to the convention center, next to the events, also the airport as itself, like you guys are doing pretty well. The reason we did that is because anybody that's not in the range of the convention center and not in the range of the beach, they don't benefit. Our hotels, we have are in the area. We pay the tax. Guests have to pay, but our friends that are out maybe just a block, 2 blocks away, they will not get the convention attendees. They will not get it.
So they don't have to pay.
They don't pay, we did it because of fairness and. People that will benefit are the downtown areas, and they should pay, which is good. Which is good for the city, and which is good for the hotels.
Thank you.
So you think like everybody in Hollywood should pay if
No,
they have a hotel? Because Hollywood gets more people than anybody else to come, if you use that philosophy.
No, the material that I have received is for more. I was just looking at my iPhone as well, just to verify this. Is that most of the money is going to spend on the marketing of the CVB of Los Angeles. If marketing is spent on the CVB of Los Angeles, then that means they're getting more conventions for the convention center, and more conventions will be coming to the convention center, and the hotels that are close to the convention center will benefit.
What's the first thing you looked at when you came to Los Angeles so many years ago? What was the first thing you wanted to see?
I saw Disneyland in Anaheim first.
Very good, very good.
Exactly.
And where did Walt Disney come from? Kansas.
Kansas.
And he landed in Los Angeles, and he lived near the Hollywood sign. End of case.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Cook, Director of Sales and Marketing at the Hollywood Heights Hotel. And I am for this assessment, believing that we need to educate the consumer on Los Angeles as a whole. I do agree that Hollywood does feel the compression from the downtown conventions. It helps us so much, particularly during the off-season, not summer months. I think compared to other cities, I was just in Houston, their taxes are over 16%. I don't think that increasing this is going to put Los Angeles out of the market for major cities.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Falk. I'm the general manager of the Biltmore in downtown. And I know that it would be easy to say that I could benefit from this in ways that others do. However, prior to coming to the Biltmore, I was at the Hilton Checkers right
Yes.
across the street.
Right.
And when this initiative began, I called my peers with Hilton in San Diego and said, how many pieces of business did you lose by this extra tax that is coming in? Because at the end of the day, people, whether they're in his size hotel or my size hotel, don't like paying for internet, safes, or breakfast, either one, but they don't even look at taxes. That's another thing that they assume is just part of what I'm going to have to pay. Not one piece of convention business in San Diego was lost because of an increase in the tax percentage when you're sitting down looking at the negotiating table. So that's the first thing. It really did not cause any business to go away because of additional taxes. It's really about branding. It's not about an individual hotel. And if the commercial generates one more person to come to San Pedro or to Venice or any place else, and they might want to come downtown for dinner, great. We're all going to win then. That's really
True.
what it's about, branding.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, thank you. And our last one is Mark Bessaria. Hi, Mark.
Good morning, council members. Thank you. I represent Hotel Angelino, Best Western Royal Palace, Los Angeles West Travelodge in West Los Angeles. When you speak up, you've mentioned a bid before. A bid is a special assessment receiving special benefits.
Right.
Our West Side properties will not receive any special. There's no compression now, and I don't see the compression happening. So that's an issue. The correspondence, they have not sent one piece of correspondence to any of our properties, not one. I talked to the owner of the Lux. He's immediately he found out about this on Monday. He's contacting the Boutique Lodging Association. He wants this stopped. We're not going to receive the benefit here on the west side. It's my Santa Monica, you've mentioned, they are going to benefit because I'm going to have to send some business that are upset about this. I'm going to have to send that business to my Santa Monica hotel. So I really think that you should really see where are we going to focus this. Is it going to be
What's the tax in Santa Monica?
It's 14%, but there's no tourism assessment.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mark. Okay. Well, we've heard some obviously positive responses, and there's still a lot of concerns out there. I'm not sure when this is going to go for a vote. My feeling is always we should be doing a better job of outreaching. Sounds like maybe not everyone has felt a part of the process or has been able to kind of weigh in on shaping this. So I don't know. We're going to hold this in committee, obviously, and maybe a report back from LA Inc. at our meeting in September. Maybe just a little more clarity to how you plan to use this extra money. I would like to see how we're currently using the marketing money. And then, just a sense of how you're going to structure the board. Is there going to be real representation from obviously mid-size, small, and hotels that are on the outer perimeter, on the fringes of downtown Los Angeles? So maybe just kind of a little better structure to what you're proposing, so that as we move forward, we can really see the real benefits besides just trickle down. I mean, I hear the trickle down theory, but I think people are going to want more than that. We're going to want a more specific way. How are we going to market all of Los Angeles? How can we really expect? And we want these hotels to benefit. I mean, these have been tough times, but tourism is our number one industry in Los Angeles. It's tourism. It's surpassed, goods movement. It is our number one industry. We benefit in Los Angeles from tourism. Our general fund benefits, hotels benefit, more jobs are created when we have more tourists. So just a little more meat on the bones, so to speak, in September, maybe a report back on some of these issues that were expressed. Yes.
Just a question, because it's changing. Ask the CLA to look in any of our information technology department, could look at any way of providing universal free wireless or whatever you call it through any kind of relationship that we have to hotels. Just say Los Angeles through our ITA department. I don't know if that's reasonable or possible, but that may be something. The other thing, too, how much has hotels lost in money? Because I remember when I was young, you never use a phone in a hotel. You go to the payphone because it costs so much. So how much revenue has hotels lost because of cell phones? Because people don't use hotel phones anymore. Huge. So business becomes changing and dynamic. And for West Los Angeles, I think it's important. Everybody benefits. And I think what we have to do, wherever we are in this region, is we have to say how we are connected to the rest. If you have a hotel in the South Bay, how easy it is to get down the 91 to the 22 to Disneyland, to Main Street, and how to get to Hollywood. It all can be done. But I do think we need something like this to be a stronger voice to follow what Ms. Hahn just said. It's the number one industry that has to be improved and harnessed as it goes. I look for the next discussion on this and ask that, and I don't know if you're a member of the LA Visitors Bureau or Convention Center, if you resend, check their email, make sure they got a right one, and they're getting, because I've heard about this, and there was a Los Angeles Times business story that everyone heard about this most recently. So it's not but I think it has to be reached out as much as you can, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, could you make a quick response to those under 50? I appreciated their comments about how they keep everything low overhead and the 1.5 they felt might drive business.
Let me make just a couple quick responses to obviously to reaching out, because that always concerns me that
Sure.
Some of the hotels are members and some are not members, and
Right.
We have reached out and set up meetings for all hotels to come. Very few of the smaller hotels participated. I have sent out 2 or 3 emails and letters myself to all of the hotels, inviting them so that we can exchange ideas with them. With regard to the board participation, of course we would have someone at a mid-level size hotel on our board. This is for all of the hotels. This is not going to be singular.
Do me a favor, Mark. Get with them afterwards. Get their names and contacts, and bring them into the loop.
Absolutely.
You only need one name, Patel.
Right.
Okay.
I think that I think that there's something that everyone should understand about the TOT today. Yes, there's a 14% TOT that the guest is paying. Out of the 14 percentage points, only 1 point of the 14 points goes to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And that's why those numbers are so low as we compare ourselves to other cities. 1 point goes to the Cultural Affairs Department, 3.5 points goes to paying off the debt service of the Convention Center, and the rest goes to the general fund. So 14 points does not go for promoting tourism in Los Angeles.
Right. Thank you very much. And the other thing I was thinking, because I know down in San Pedro there's a new property-based business improvement district. They're actually looking to they've contracted with a consultant for branding of San Pedro and marketing of the ACE district down there, the Entertainment and Artist District. So again, we just want to make sure that you're leveraging, which I think you could, all the different chambers, all the different bids around, and maybe even add something to your marketing budget in exchange for obviously ensuring and giving comfort to those outlying areas that indeed this marketing plan will benefit everybody. Okay, so we'll ask for a report back in September. Okay, thank you for all coming. Okay, let's quickly do 4 and 5. 4 is a amendment to a ground lease out at LAX.
Yes, under item 4, the Board of Airport Commissioners submits for approval the First Amendment to the ground lease with Cal Portland Company.
Any issues on this?
This is a concrete manufacturing company to which this lease is to be assigned and already has been assigned by Green's Ready Mix Concrete Company. The lease, which is for the use of 2.4 acres located on West 111th Street at LAX, would extend the term for 10 years, expiring on September 16, 2020, and would establish a new and escalating rental rate for the first 5 years.
Okay,
Just
Bill.
a quick comment.
Yeah.
I have no specific concerns with the lease, except to be sure that we can terminate it early if the LAX master plan process determines a need for the property. Is that the case?
Yes, we have a termination clause in the lease.
Great, thank you.
So we're extending this by 10 years. Is the rent increasing?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
We've accepted the new market value rent.
Okay, so this is a good deal.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
No, it's good. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to 5.
Under item 5, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for council approval the Second Amendment and the Third Amendment to the permit with APM Terminal Pacific Limited, which was formerly Maersk Pacific. This is for the operation and maintenance of a container terminal at berths 401 to 406 at Pier 400. The Second Amendment would, among other things, reset compensation for the 5-year period, August 1, 2007 through July 31, 2012, would provide a credit to the tenant for third-party business for a limited period, and would amend the conditions that must be met in order to obtain the board's consent for a sublease. The Third Amendment would, among other things, affirm that the proposed sublease to California United Terminals, also known as CUT, conforms to the conditions for the sublease under the permit as amended or to be amended under the Second Amendment, and would express consent to the proposed sublease with CUT. Also, the Third Amendment would approve and assign various rights of APM to CUT, and would also limit the TEU per acre rate increase to be charged to APM terminals if CUT executes a permit for Pier 500 and terminates the sublease. There are other rights also specified for APM if CUT should leave the terminal Pier 500.
Okay, so CUT cut their losses over in Long Beach and are coming to LA. This is a pretty big deal.
this is,
Is there any backstory to this that we should know about?
Well, I think the thing that made them come to this decision really is the option for Pier 500.
Right.
I just want to take 30 seconds, if I can, and say that this is really unique. I don't think there's anywhere in the country where two companies have come together and decided to share space under two different identities, CUT and APMT. This kept jobs in the San Pedro Bay. This brought business to us, and we're just thrilled with what the companies have done.
Now, you mentioned Pier 500, and one of the attractions was the possible future of them relocating or expanding to Pier 500. Naturally, that sends up a few red flags in the community. Have you heard those concerns?
No, we actually didn't hear any concerns at the board meeting, but it will have to go through an environmental review process. So this is something that will be part of the public process. An EIR, EIS would be required, and so that will allow the community to comment.
Okay. Okay, so anything else we need to know about this?
No, I just think this is great for the San Pedro Bay. It's great for the Port of LA.
So, and roughly how many TEUs will we be taking from Long Beach?
They, in their last year at Long Beach, they did about 430,000 TEUs. They've since brought on an additional service, so it will be more than that.
Okay. I mean, obviously that's good. I mean, we are the America's port together. I mean, when containers come in, it certainly helps jobs out on the docks, no matter what side it's on. But this certainly is a big coup for the Port of Los Angeles. How's our relationship with Long Beach?
I think Long Beach understood this wasn't, this wasn't about Long Beach. It was about two customers coming to an arrangement and our facilitating it. They would have done the same thing if they could have, and we better make sure that they don't get a chance in the future.
And when does this relocation happen?
It should happen by October.
By October.
Yeah.
And does this impact the Middle Harbor project in Long Beach?
It may actually make it easier for Long Beach because instead of trying to juggle two customers during construction, they may be able to do it faster.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So we will approve that. So moved and approved. This second and third amendments to the harbor permit with APMT.
Thank you.
Good job. They drive me crazy. I'm sorry. Off the air. They drive me